Hello, what's going on YouTube world? Sebastian here with Spin Driving School. Today we are going to take a look at construction zones and speed limits within them and how to approach them and how to go through them. So first and foremost, most construction zones, at least within the cities, do not actually have speed limits posted. So you should be treating them with the speed limit, let's say, of anywhere from 30 to 40 kilometers an hour. In most cases, 40K is going to be okay. But when you are merging into like a single lane situation, which I will show in this video, I would definitely recommend treating them just like a school zone and staying around 30, especially when you have the flagged personnel, people in there, you know, working. So as long as there's people present, especially when they're close to the road and you're going into a single lane, you're going through cones, depending on the conditions of of the road and the weather as well, and how tight you're going to be going through these single lanes. That's kind of going to be dependent on how you're going to approach them and the speed that you're going to be approaching them with. On highways and other in other situations, the speed limits may vary. In those cases, they actually usually are posted anywhere from 10 to 20 to sometimes 30 kilometers less than what it is the average speed limit in that particular place at that moment. So let's say on the highway, if it's 100, most cases speed limit in construction zones is going to be, let's say, 70 to 80. In the city, it could be 30 posted. Actually, in most cases, so it's going to be, let's say, about 20 kilometers below the average speed limit of 50. But again, if it's not posted, 30 to 40 is going to be fine. But I would recommend 30, let's say, in most cases, especially when you're going into a single lane. But again, in most cases, they are not posted and you're essentially guessing. And sometimes these construction workers, don't set up these construction zones properly. The signs are down. It's hard to tell where they began, where they end. The speed limits sometimes are there when the construction zones are not active or not live. So that's another thing you can look for. If the speed limit is posted or if it's up, just treat it regularly. But in some cases, those, let's say on weekends or long weekends or whatnot, those guys, sometimes they don't put the signs down. They just leave them up over the weekend, and then there's nobody there and people still slow down. So in that situation, you can just treat it like a non-existent construction zone, let's say, and just go whatever the regular speed limit is, as long as the speed limits are not posted. But it's tricky, let's just put it that way. And I don't know everything. I'm kind of along this journey. I am learning a lot of new things as well. So I might have actually mentioned in one of my videos that usually the speed limit in construction zones is going to be 30, but let's say 30 to 40. So anyways, let's just get right into the video. So we'll just go through a couple of signs here. This is from the ICBC book. So the speed limits that are the 50 and 70, I would say those are mainly for, let's say like highways or it could be anyways, if it's posted, just follow the speed limit. And then you have the flag personnel, the construction zone ahead or coming up. So there's that sign with the arrow, construction zone coming up ahead, single lane traffic. There's the flag person or the flag personnel. So let's say your speed limit is going to be starting somewhere around here. It's not posted. So let's just say I'm doing around 40 here, and then I'm going into a single lane. So basically I'm going to be driving on the wrong side of the road. And yeah, I'm going 30 here. I'm not going to be going 40. There are people in the middle of the road. It's, it's kind of tight. So 30 is totally fine. Even if you go slower a little bit, that's not a problem. You're not going to fail your road test. But if you go too fast, if you approach these too quickly, and especially if you don't stop when those people hold the signs up, to stop or slow down, mainly to stop, to slow down, you can proceed as long as you go slower. And then you're looking for the back of the signs on the other side of the road for the end of the construction zone, right? So the first, second, and third sign kind of goes back in the same sequence. Usually the second or the third sign would be where your speed limit would end if there is no speed limit or no end of speed limit sign. So now here on Hastings, double lane road. So in this case, I'm actually going to have to make a lane change. If you're doing your road test, even, you might not be told to make a lane change. You have to make a lane change on your own, depending on the examiner. And here, let's say, again, the speed limit in this case, I'm going around 40. It's not posted. So in this situation, 40 is fine. Again, it's a 2-lane situation. You can just keep the flow of traffic moving, but you definitely do want to be slowing down at least 10K. Same thing here. This is just further down the road. So there's a lot of construction in Burnaby, unfortunately. There you have your signs on the right-hand side for merging. I'm going to let this bus in. I'm not going to cut him off. So I'm just going to wait, let him in. And then I actually have to move over into the left or the center lane, let's say, or the closest to the yellow line. So here we go. You know, as always, you do your shoulder checks. Just treat it like any other lane change. Make sure it's safe. Don't expect that people are going to be letting you in. Make sure they do it safely and properly. And if you are told, you can move back over into the right lane depending on the directions that you were given. But in this case, I just stayed in that lane. Same thing here. So you have your warning sign or construction zone coming up. Then you have your single lane traffic, and then flag person is going to be present. Now, sometimes, you know, they're not paying attention to, so just be careful, give yourself and them lots of space, and don't go too fast. You're going to be driving on the other side of the road. You don't have to signal and even necessarily shoulder check in this case, but if you do, that's fine. No one's going to rip your head off if you want to signal and shoulder check on your way back out as well. I usually teach my students in those cases to do so. If you use your mirrors, that's fine. So as long as the slow signs are up, you can proceed through and just make sure that you don't go too fast. Again, same situation, construction zone coming up. So in this case, I'm actually going to be stopping for a flag person. So they usually step right into the middle of the road with the sign up, and make sure that you, when you do stop, again, give them lots of space. And once you stop, don't inch forward, just remain stopped until they walk off and flip that sign over or turn it around for the slow sign for you to proceed onwards. And then until the end of that construction zone, or until the person on the other side of the road, because there's a person on the other side of the road, that's where you're going to be remaining, let's say between 30 to 40. In this case, again, 40 would be fine, exiting out of the construction zone. And then you will be speeding up to, 50, depending on the situation. This one has been in this place for a while. It's kind of tricky, and this one keeps moving every day. There's actually going to be 2 separate videos. So I'm essentially right now I'm in the left turning lane, but I'm going straight because that's just the way these lanes are set up. And in this case, there were no cones. So we'll get to that in a second. So in this case, I'm going 30. I'm not going to go 40 here. It's a single lane. It's pretty tight. You have cones. You have people on both sides, or at least on the right-hand side, you have trucks. This road is super bumpy. It's a terrible road. I will hope that they are going to repave it. So again, if you want to signal, shoulder check in this case on the road test, I definitely recommend doing that on the road test. And then same thing, you're looking for the last sign on the right-hand side to tell you that the construction zone ends or the speed limit changes or goes back to whatever speed limit it is, if there is a speed limit posted. In that case, there was not. So this is the same construction zone. This is literally the next day, and it's set up a little bit differently. So there were cones earlier in the intersection. Now you don't see those big trucks on the right-hand side. And again, I'm just going 30, and we also have a cyclist. So I'm not in a rush. I'm just gonna hang out behind the cyclist. And then once I get a little bit of room, I'm just gonna slightly edge over the yellow line and pass them safely. But make sure that you're not exceeding a speed limit. And in that case, even if you stay behind the cyclist, theoretically, that's not a bad thing. But if you have enough space, you can definitely pass them. And then we'll do one final situation. So here we go. We are approaching another construction zone. There's your warning sign. There is your flag person sign. And in this case, again, I'm going 30, maybe 35 or so. Lots of space, lots of room. Don't be in the rush. If the speed limit is posted, follow the speed limit. If it's not, 40 to 30, 35-ish, you're probably going to be okay, depending on the road conditions and how big the road itself is. If it's a single, double lane, etc., etc. So I hope that this will be helpful and will clarify some of the confusion regarding construction zones, because again, they can be a little bit ambiguous. And I will post also a link to a website It's official BC website that will have some articles in it explaining a little bit more thoroughly the legalities and whatnot of construction zones. So check that out. In the meantime, stay safe, and thanks for checking out my video. Thanks for your support. Thank you to all my subscribers, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.